Welcome to the Inside Travel Talk podcast, a radio show. Coming up on today's show, Mark and I will be talking about vacationing in Rome. Awesome. Europe's new travel authorizations, the travel deal of the week, which will help you save up to $250, and you get up to 10,000 bonus SkyMiles, NCL's free at sea amenity package, and 3 cruise deals of the week. Let's start the show. The Inside Travel Talk podcast, a radio show presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, contains travel deals, promotions, and offers that are time sensitive. All offers and information were accurate when the show aired. Travel deals and offers change constantly and are capacity controlled and subject to change without notice.
Explore your world. It's the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com. Call or text the show now, 801-649-3700, 801-649-3700, and check out the podcast at InsideTravelTalk.com. And now, here are your hosts, Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo.
Live from Salt Lake City, Utah, this is the Inside Travel Talk podcast, a radio show. Hello there. I am Patrick Wiscombe alongside my co-host, friend, and owner of BluePlanetVacations.com, Mark Faldmo. He'll be here in just a moment. The entire purpose of this radio show and podcast is to help you plan and book your next vacation or give you ideas of where you and your family, your friends, may want to go on vacation next, and we are proudly presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, and thank you for taking the time to stop and listen. This week we are talking about vacationing in Rome, Europe's new travel authorizations. It's the story that just keeps giving, but we got to keep you up to date on all this stuff if you're headed to Europe. We've got the travel deal of the week, which is going to help you save up to $250, and you might just end up with up to 10,000 bonus Delta SkyMiles, NCL's free at sea amenity package, the Plus package, and we've got 3 cruise deals. Mark Faldmo, you are back from, I guess I should say Happy New Year first, since it is the New Year. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually the start of season 4 of this podcast.
Well, good for us. Let's get right into the travel news headlines. This is the story that we have been talking about, what is now the very start of the 4th season of the podcast and radio show. I'm just going to give you a whole bunch of acronyms here. We've got the EES, the ETIAS, the ETA, the CODs, the BFDs, the LSDs, and the SOBs, please. But let's start with the EES first, which is the entry exit system.
I currently have 3 families in Rome right now, and I kept getting this question: what do we have to enter Europe? And they keep hearing about these EES, ETIS, and ETAs. So I decided on this to start the new year. We'll take a little bit deeper dive than we have in the past just to explain what these are. And
so EES
is Europe's entry and exit system. So the main purpose of that is to replace traditional passport stamping. So everything will be automated. It does take that biometric data, fingerprints, photo on your first entry, and then the same thing on departure. So that's how it'll keep track of your entry and exit into Europe. And it started in October of 2025. It should be fully implemented by April.
Of course.
But we will believe that when we see it.
I feel like we've been talking about this since season 1, like literally one of the first shows that we ever did.
Yeah, it keeps getting delayed. And the rollout of the EES, so the entry and exit system, was pretty rocky last October.
Yes, it was.
And then there's the European Travel Information and Authorization System.
Okay, so this is
ETIAS.
Okay, what is that?
This is a travel pre-authorization. So before flying, before boarding your flights to Europe, you will have to pay this ETIAS fee, have a printout with you or on your phone to show it in order to enter Europe. So this is not a visa, but you do have to apply before travel. That is not launched yet. They're going to wait to launch that until they get all of the kinks worked out of the EES. They're hoping it will launch in April.
So when we talk about the EES, the entry-exit system, we're talking about when you go over the border, basically.
Correct.
Okay,
yes.
So if you go from Rome to, I should know my geography better than that, whatever's next to Rome, this is the EES is the border, and then the European getting into Europe, it's the ETIAS, which is what we're talking about right now.
Correct. Although all European countries are in the same area, so all EU members. So it won't be like going from Italy to Spain. It would be if you're coming from the US to Italy, and then you can travel anywhere in Europe with that.
Okay. And that's the ETIAS.
Correct.
Okay. Got it.
And that'll cost about $15 per person, maybe a little bit more than that. And what confuses this all is the UK is not part of the European Union, and so they have their own ETA, which is already into effect. So if you're going to the UK, you already have to get essentially the same thing as the ETIAS, but for the UK.
And you can help people with all of this.
We can help people with that. So, that's kind of why I wanted to go over this, because I've had so much confusion.
Yeah. I consider myself pretty plugged in when it comes to travel. I mean, obviously you way more than me, but even I'm just going, what? I am glad that we're talking about this.
We will keep you on track for all of this information and things that you need to enter different countries.
There are no shortage of options for travelers who have limited vacation time.
This is an interesting trend. There are several tour operators. So Intrepid Vacations has actually come up with 5 to 6 night packages. Talk River Cruises has come up with a 6-day river cruise.
You say talk?
Tauk.
Oh, Tauk. Yeah, okay.
Tauk. With a 6-day river cruise where most of them are 8-day. We've talked about Globus, their escape tours, which are those shortened 6-day tours that are mainly in the off season. But what they've noticed is there are a lot of people that have the means to travel, but not the time. And so they've designed specific versions of tours that are shorter so people can still experience that and do it all in less than a week. And I think this is a really good option. Some of those tours, as we've talked about in the past, those Globus and Cosmos escape tours, those shorter tours, have some pretty interesting itineraries, like Morocco, which was a 6-day tour, I believe. Really good price on that. And what I think is interesting about it is cruise lines have gone the other way. Cruise lines have found that people want to spend more time on cruise ships, so they're adding more longer cruises. But a lot of these land operators are seeing the need for these shorter options. So if you want to travel but don't think you have the time for it, there are some options for both river cruise and land options.
Couple days ago, we received a travel-related question. So if you do have travel-related questions, let me give you the studio number. All of these texts and calls go to Mark, 801-649-3700. 801-649-3700 is how you get a hold of the show. And Liz is asking a question. She goes, I want to go to Rome. I've been there before on a cruise and have seen the basic sites in Rome. What day trips or sites would you recommend?
There's lots of good places that you could do in a day trip from Rome. I actually have 3 families in Rome right now. If you're visiting Rome, you don't have to stay in the city center the whole time. There's some day trips that are fascinating, some cities to visit. And I've chosen 5 day trips that I think would be worth your time if you're visiting Rome and want to get out of the city center.
What is the first one then?
So the first one is Tivoli. Tivoli is famous for Villa d'Estate is the name of it, which is gardens and fountains. And it also has Hadrian's Villa, which is one of the most impressive Roman ruins in Italy. And it's an easy trip. It's about an hour outside of Rome and just has history and beauty. When I visited there, I just remember walking through felt like the countryside, seeing Hadrian's Villa, very much worth the trip.
What's your second day trip?
The second is Ostia Antica, and it's an ancient port town with well-preserved Roman ruins. And these ruins actually rival Pompeii, but they're closer and easier to get to from Rome. So think of it as a quieter, less crowded alternative to Pompeii. You can walk ancient streets, explore ruins, and still be back in Rome for dinner.
It sounds like a food commercial. Hey, you can have fun all day, but you'll be back in time for dinner.
Yep. Yep.
All right. What's your next day trip?
The next one is Orvieto. And this is one of my favorite hilltop towns. It's a little bit further away from Rome, but you can still do it in a day. And it's known for its cathedral. So a hill town with a huge cathedral. It also has underground caves, kind of small village Italian charm is what I would say for this. It's scenic, walkable, packed with character. You should probably always, when in Italy, try and visit a hill town. And this is one that's easy to get to from Rome.
Naples has to be part of this. Has to be.
It is. There are some tours that you can get from Rome, and it's also reachable by the high-speed train. Naples, famous for Pompeii. You probably would be able to do this, but you could also go to Capri. But what you do in Naples is just schedule plenty of time for lunch and go get pizza, the birthplace of pizza. And it's a very good pizza in Naples. Just make sure you pick your toppings. Don't let them bring you random pizzas. I had a tour group there, and a couple of them got served tuna pizzas, and they weren't very happy.
All you had to say was tuna.
Tuna, yeah. So
that'd be disappointing.
But very good pizza in Naples. And that's a longer tour. You're probably 14 hours on that tour to get to Naples. But again, very much worth it.
And what's your final day trip?
The final trip is to visit Tuscany, which is not too far from Rome. The city there would be Cortona. Fans of Under the Tuscan Sun will recognize it instantly. Cortona is that classic Tuscany town with rolling hills, postcard perfect views, another walkable city. So any of these 5 options, do 2 or 3 or do all of them if you have the time. Very good options for visiting outside of Rome.
There is something special about Rome.
Yes, there definitely is.
All right, let's get to the travel deal of the week, which is Delta Vacations. Save up to $250. Plus, you might get up to 10,000 bonus SkyMiles. What are the details on this one, Mark?
This is a worldwide promotion. Anywhere Delta Vacations has vacation packages too, up to $250 off. And that's a tiered discount based on the overall cost of the trip. And then same with the bonus SkyMiles, up to 10,000 bonus SkyMiles. But right now, Blue Planet Vacations is going to throw in a bonus $50 off per person. So for the first 2 on a vacation package to Europe.
So this is good for all Delta Vacations locations, not just Rome, like we've been talking about.
Correct. Yes. Good to Hawaii, Mexico, Europe, Asia, everywhere Delta Vacations goes.
And of course, Rome.
Correct. Yeah.
Take advantage of that one. Call Mark in the office, get the conversation started, get your deposit to hold your spot. 888-718-7717, 888-718-7717, and he will also post all of this information on blueplanetvacations.com, and also the contact information is there. When we come back, it is time for the infamous Just Cruising segment, the part of the show that has made us famous around the country and around the world. We've got 3 cruise deals in this upcoming segment. Plus, we're also going to be talking about NCL's Free at Sea Plus. It's not just free at sea, it is plus. It's even better. We'll talk about that next when the Inside Travel Talk podcast or radio show continues. Alongside Mark Faldmo, my name is Patrick Wiscombe. Thank you so much for listening. Happy New Year. We'll be back in about 60 seconds. Stay right there.
If you have travel questions, they have the answers. You're listening to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show with Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com. Call or text the show right now. 801-649-3700. 801-649-3700. We'll be right back.
This segment of Inside Travel Talk is sponsored by El Dorado Spa Resorts. Escape to Cancun's Riviera Maya with authentic, all-inclusive luxury at an El Dorado Spa Resort. To book your romantic beach getaway, contact Blue Planet Vacations at 888-718-7717 or blueplanetvacations.com.
Now, back to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com. America's best travel advisors. Call or text the show right now. 801-649-3700. 801-649-3700. And check out the podcast at InsideTravelTalk.com. Here's Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo.
Welcome back to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show alongside Mark Faldmo. I am Patrick Wiscombe. Thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your weekend each and every Saturday and Sunday at 11 o'clock local time. It is time for the infamous Just Cruising segment. This is the segment of the show that has made us famous around the country and around the world. And to all boarding the radio show and podcast right now, let me just say, ahoy, mateys. Ahoy. It is time to talk some cruise news headlines, and we've also got 3 cruise deals of the week. Let's jump right back into NCL bringing back their popular Free at Sea Plus amenity package. So there's Free at Sea, and then there's Free at Sea Plus. Have I got that right?
That's right. So Free at Sea is their normal promotion that comes with the purchase of your cabin. So it has beverage package, some dining, a couple of amenities that's included in the standard Free at Sea. But now they've brought back Free at Sea Plus, which includes enhanced premium beverage package. So unlimited Starbucks drinks, energy drinks, fresh juices, premium wines, top shelf liquors, bottled water. And then one thing that is important on this, the Free at Sea Plus also includes unlimited open bar at Great Stirrup Cay.
That's fun.
It is. Yeah. And now you can get it with an open bar.
I always find it kind of funny when the premium beverage packages, hey, you know, you get all this stuff, but you get water too.
Yes.
What else is included with that?
Unlimited streaming high-speed Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. So you can watch shows then on your devices.
You can.
Okay.
Yeah. And the standard package is a throttled version of the internet. So this is just the high speed. 50% discount on additional specialty dining reservations. So the Free at Sea comes with, depending on the length of your cruise, anywhere from 1 to 3. But then you get 50% if you want to eat additional nights. And then here's the one that I like, prepaid daily service charge in the Plus package. That's a value on a 7-day cruise, about $120 per person.
Yeah, these are the gratuities, right? The service charges?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
There's some real value in that.
Yeah. And so the Free at Sea Plus upgrade is about $50 per person per day. Probably for the unlimited Wi-Fi, you'll probably pay that off in the cost of Wi-Fi on a cruise ship. So if you want the upgraded amenities, Wi-Fi service charge, the Free at Sea Plus is a good option on Norwegian.
Let's talk about the Grand River Cruise for what is being called Curious Travelers.
This is on AMA Waterways. We've talked a lot about AMA Waterways, but it's also part of their Smithsonian journeys. So the Grand Danube is a 14-day Danube cruise, basically from Vilshofen, Germany to Bucharest in Romania. So this is both the upper and lower Danube, but it also comes with the special Smithsonian hosts and Smithsonian curated tours that they do.
That'd be fun.
Some of the ports, Vilshofen, Linz, Austria, where you can take an excursion to Salzburg, where Mozart's birth house was, to Vienna in Austria. The last few weeks, I think we've talked twice about Vienna.
Yeah.
Love Vienna. And then Bratislava in Slovakia. Then Budapest. It overnights in Budapest, so you have 2 full days in Budapest.
Ooh, that would be terrific.
And then goes to Mohacs in Hungary, and then Vukovar in Hungary, Belgrade, Serbia, and then Vidin in Bulgaria. This was one of my favorite stops when I did this. There's some old ruins there, and then Raus in Bulgaria, and then ends in Bucharest, Romania. I think doing that full Danube, both upper and lower, is the perfect river cruise. And on AMA Waterways, you can save up to $2,000 on these Smithsonian journeys.
AMA doesn't really discount their stuff, so if they're dropping the price on this, I'm just telling everyone right now, take advantage of it.
Yeah. So for this particular itinerary, there are about 12 departures from May to October that do this. Munich is basically where you'd fly into, and it ends in Bucharest or vice versa.
MSC now has their world cruise. Is this 2028? Okay, so that's out here at least 2 years.
2 years away.
Okay, so 115 days. It is now available to book. And if you are a Voyager Club member, you get 5% off plus triple point credits. What are the specific details? Where are we going?
There, the highlight, I think, is the 115-day world cruise.
Yeah, you're right.
We've talked about a couple of times, I think in the last few weeks, why cruise lines put their itineraries out so early. And it's because these specialty cruises really sell out. And so they want to put it out there so that people that really want to do it have the time to plan and do it. So, this 115 night world cruise starts at about $19,000 per person for a third of a year to have your food and drinks and entertainment and everywhere you visit.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it is.
We've talked about some world cruises before, but what I think is best about world cruises is the itinerary. They all go to different places. They all take different routes. This one is round trip Barcelona. You could also do a round trip Marseille in France if you wanted. Starting in Barcelona, it goes to Tenerife, and then across the Atlantic, does some ports in the Caribbean, including Ocean Cay MSC Reserve.
Of course. I love that place.
I do.
Ocean Cay's awesome.
It's good. Yeah. And then Puerto Limon in Costa Rica, then does a Panama Canal cruise, then goes down, has a port in Ecuador, 2 ports in Peru, 1 port in Chile. And then I think probably the best port on this whole itinerary are the next 2 ports after it leaves Chile. It goes to Rapa Nui,
South Pacific.
South Pacific.
Yeah.
And then goes to Pitcairn Islands in the South Pacific. Pitcairn Islands is where the crew of the mutiny on the Bounty fled to because it's so remote. They didn't think anyone would find them there. So most of the people living on the island are ancestors of the mutiny on the Bounty people. It's probably one of the most beautiful islands in the world. Pitcairn. Personally, I've not been there. I've seen some pictures and people have related that to me. So, those 2 ports, Pitcairn and Rapa Nui, are 2 that I want to get to.
Wow.
Then it spends overnight in Papeete, Tahiti, then sails to Tonga, then a couple of ports in New Zealand, a couple of ports in Australia, then sails to Indonesia, goes to Vietnam, a couple ports with an overnight in Halong Bay, which is basically Hanoi.
Halong Bay is, wow.
And then to Thailand, then to Cambodia, then to Singapore, Malaysia, Mumbai in India, and then Dubai, Oman, Jordan, Egypt, Alexandria in Egypt. So through the Suez Canal, and then Alexandria, and then back to Rome, Genoa, Italy, and back to either Marseille or Barcelona. So that's your round the world cruise on MSC.
What ship is that on?
That is on the MSC Magnifica.
And I think, if memory serves, didn't they just refurbish that one as well? I think they
did.
Yeah, I was like, I think they did.
Yeah, that's one of the recently renovated ships. Probably why they're putting it on this round the world, although it'll be 2 years older. at that point,
Right.
but it was just renovated.
What an adventure. What a tremendous time to be alive. If you really stop and think about it, you're in the middle of nowhere and you can still communicate. You can do what you do here at home, but you're out seeing the world. What an amazing time to be alive. Hop on a plane, go wherever you want. Awesome. Take advantage of that offer. Call Mark. Get the conversation started. Just get the deposit down to hold your spot. 888-718-7717, 888-718-7717. And you can get the contact information and all this information on blueplanetvacations.com. You can listen to this award-nominated podcast or radio show each and every Saturday and Sunday morning right here on this very radio station that you're listening to right now, and all radio stations around the country starting at 11 a.m. local time. And you can stream the show, listen to the show while you're on the world cruise by going to InsideTravelTalk.com. All podcast platform links for this show can be found on said website, InsideTravelTalk.com. All right, we've done our job. Now it's your turn to get out and travel the world while you can, because you never know what curveballs life is going to throw at you. Live your life deliberately, live your life intentionally, and a genuine, sincere thank you for listening each and every week. We don't have a show, we don't have a business without you. Thank you so much. Make it a great week, and we will talk to you next weekend.
That's it. That's the end of the show. You've been listening to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show with Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com. Book your adventure right now. Call 888-718-7717. That's 888-718-7717. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.
Inside Travel Talk is brought to you by Travelex Insurance Services. Their travel insurance plans can help protect you and your vacation. Travelex is known for their award-winning customer service and high claims paid rate. Contact Blue Planet Vacations at 888-718-7717 or blueplanetvacations.com for more information.